Marvel Studios is developing 3 feature films based on the X-Men that are not just the X-Men trilogy. But along with this, they're also developing 3 TV shows. So in this video, we're going to talk about the various projects that are coming at us from Marvel Studios in the Mutant Saga, which of course is the next chapter of the MCU once we're wrapped up with Secret Wars and the Multiverse Saga. So we already know, and Marvel Studios has indirectly confirmed it, that the next stage of the MCU after the Multiverse Saga is the Mutant Saga. Now, of course, we know that this is going to be another few phases, and that all of them are going to focus on mutants being the dominant force, and of course, the main crux of the saga, as the name implies. Now, just like the Infinity Saga, and just like the Multiverse Saga, it doesn't mean every project is centered around mutants. There is a common misconception now and glazing of the Infinity Saga that everything always contributed to the bigger picture in a major way, and they perfectly built up to Avengers Endgame, which just isn't true at all. And now we're starting to see some of this glaze as well, coincidentally enough, for the Multiverse Saga, where people are now saying, well, those early projects in the first 2 years, wow, they really had a plan. No, not really, guys. No, it all fell apart. Let's be real, especially with the pandemic. So looking at the Multiverse Saga, what you need to understand is that, yes, there is a plan, but it's not all just mutants. There's a lot more that goes into this, and that mutants will be at the forefront, and yes, they're the focus. Yes, it's going to center around them, but there's going to be other projects. So now let's talk about the primary Marvel Studios X-Men projects that are in development. So first and foremost, let's get the basic one out of the way, which is the X-Men reboot. This, of course, will be the start of when we establish the Mutant Saga going forward. The core X-Men will, of course, be the center of everything, and everything will revolve around them, and they will be the centerpiece that connects all the pieces. Now, of course, the expectation is obviously an X-Men trilogy, which is a given at this point, and since X-Men have constantly evolved, we're going to get more than just a trilogy. Let's be real about this. And also expect a given Avengers versus X-Men, Avengers crossing over with others, and all this other stuff. But beyond that, there is another X-Men project that's in development that has lately been confirmed by multiple sources. This, of course, being the Ryan Reynolds written Deadpool and X-Men team-up. So if you guys remember, he was teasing an X-Men project. And then Disney said Ryan is working on his own. And then Ryan came back with news that he's working on a post-Secret Wars X-Men project that's Deadpool teaming up with various different X-Men that seem to be younger and more of the side characters. Not like the main characters, right? Not like your Cyclops or Jean Grey or not even Wolverine potentially just yet. By all accounts, he is confirming that they are going to do X-Force. Now, this is important because X-Force was in development after Deadpool 2 along with Deadpool 3. But of course it was scrapped or put on hold when Ryan Reynolds and the rest were all packaged as part of the deal with the purchase of Fox. So naturally it looks like that's still actually going to happen and that they are moving forward with this whole idea of, hey, let's do X-Force, but we're going to change it up because now it's got to fit this universe. So what is the third project? Well, there is obviously more X-Men 97, but that's not what we're talking about. That's sort of like a side project, right? It's not really canon to the post-Secret Wars MCU. They're not just going to canonize all that. So what are we talking about? Well, here we go, because there might be just details that leaked earlier this year. So per reports that spun off after a investor's call that was earlier in the year, Disney expressed interest in producing standalone Wolverine films. Now, it's not crystal clear whether or not this would be Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and or potentially what we keep hearing could happen is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with a younger actor to play MCU's Logan, which I think is the way to go. But it seems like that we're definitely going to get a Wolverine standalone series, which again makes sense as he's a billion-dollar, character, an icon. He's one of the most recognizable Marvel characters ever. So this again really does check out. But beyond just the films, we got another 2 projects coming at us on Disney Plus. So this is another one, and I've talked about this recently in other videos. There is reportedly still interest from Marvel Studios in expanding on Disney Plus with obviously X-Men content that wouldn't really be proper X-Men content. Now, how they handle this, who knows? It's been rumored that they might do something like X-Men Academy or something like that, where essentially we focus on the school and we follow a bunch of the younger X-Men who aren't really members of the core team just yet, but are sort of, just students at this school. So then you could have cameos from the X-Men characters in the films, but this would primarily focus on these younger students. So I think that this would be a good idea. And by some accounts and reports out there, they want to focus on a character like Jubilee, for example. If she's not in the core X-Men because they want to focus on the OGs, well, this is where you could establish her character. And then when it's time to graduate her to the proper X-Men, you already have some backstory, which I think is the smart way to go. And personally, that's exactly how I think they should do it. Now, the other one is interesting, where, if you guys remember, there was a TV series called Gifted on Fox, which was a X-Men TV series, which I absolutely love. I think a lot of people overlook it, but it's truly worth checking out. And that focused on mutants on the run and Sentinels hunting them. And everything sort of telling the story about who Polaris is, the daughter of Magneto. That was kind of like one of the cruxes of it. It seems like that some sort of idea like that might be happening as well, where they want essentially X-Men that aren't part of the core team. Like maybe an X-Men leaves the mansion or something and establishes his own team because, maybe it's like a Brotherhood TV series or something, right? Or these mutants that don't really fit in anywhere. And I think that that's also very interesting. So you could be looking at these cheaper series that deal with these characters. And we know the mutant roster is full of characters you could use. So you look at the bigger picture, we're looking at about 3 different film franchises, which is great, and potentially 2 to 3 different shows running. And they're different enough that you don't ever really feel like they're stepping on each other's toes, but they're set within the same universe. So just like the X-Men comics, they got so many things going on that it feels like you can just read them and it's their own universe. And if they want to handle the films and TVs just like the comics, honestly, I think we're in for some good stuff over the course of the Mutant Saga. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.